Okay, I'm gonna bring to order this City of Atascadero Planning Commission meeting on Tuesday, October 6th, 2024. Oh my God, August. It's August 6th. I was looking at the date and I still said it wrong. First, we're gonna have our Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Carranza. Okay, if we can get a roll call, please. Commissioner Anderson,
Here.
Commissioner Heath,
Here.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Here.
Chairperson Keen. Here. Commissioner Carranza. Here. Vice Chairperson Vanden Eyck.
Here.
7 present, 1 absent. No, 6 present, 1 absent. Okay, now we need an approval of the agenda.
I'll make the motion to approve. I'll second.
Who seconded? Thank you. Oh yeah, if you guys could mention your names when you second, just for Jessica to mark it down. Thank you.
Jason Anderson seconds.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Carranza. Yes. Commissioner Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Vanden Eyck.
Yes.
Chairperson Keen. Yes. Motion passes. Okay, we're on to public comment. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the commission on any matter not on this agenda and over which the commission has jurisdiction. There's only 1 person in the audience today. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Okay, we have no public comment. I'm going to close that. Moving on to the consent calendar.
I'll move to approve the consent calendar.
Commissioner Schmidt seconds.
Thank you. Are you ready for roll call?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Carranza,
Yes.
Commissioner Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Vanden Eyck.
Yes.
Chairperson Keen.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, we're gonna move on to public hearings. And staff, I believe, has an update on this item for us.
That is correct, Chairwoman Keen. We have received a request from the applicant to continue the item to a date uncertain. There was a bit of a conflict with the property owner, and so they're just wanting to continue it to a date uncertain. I believe we need a motion for that.
Okay, does somebody want to make a motion on that?
I'll motion. Jason Anderson motions to continue the item.
I would say prior to doing this, let's open public comment and then we can do our motion.
Okay. We will open public comment on the 9575.
If there has been ex parte communications that the commissioners want to disclose or need to disclose, then you could do so now.
Okay. We'll do ex parte first and then we'll do our. Yeah, rewind. We're gonna do this over. So first, ex parte communications, Commissioner Carranza.
None.
Commissioner Schmidt.
No ex parte.
I actually have some ex parte on this item. A neighbor has reached out to me regarding this item to find out if he is following the previous conditional use permit that he has, and I have had some discussions with staff on that. And I'm looking into that, and I hope to have more information when we discuss the item. So, Vice Chairperson Vanden Eyck.
None for me.
Commissioner Anderson.
No ex parte.
Commissioner Heath.
No ex parte.
Okay. Now we'll open public comment on this item on 9575 Vista Bonita Avenue. Our audience member, do you have any public comment? No? Okay, and we will.
And we're not going to close public comment. We're going to keep it open.
Right,
and then
for
we'll
the
make
date
motion
uncertain.
for
Okay,
the
so public comment
continuance.
time will stay open until the date uncertain after we make the motion. Okay, now we can make a motion. Thank you, City Attorney.
All right, I'll go ahead and make the motion to continue this item until date uncertain.
I can second. Commissioner Kranz a second.
Ms. Jessica.
Roll call, Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner. And Heath.
I have a question. I heard the chairpersons mention Bonita Avenue. And it says Ardilla on here.
So Ardea Avenue is the time extension item that was on the consent. That's just for a Haslo project on Ardea. The actual public hearing item is 9575 Vista Bonita.
Thank you. Yes,
And does Chairperson Keen, do you vote? Okay. Thank you. Motion passes.
I think a vice commissioner
Oh.
needs to vote.
I seem to forget somebody each time. Vice Chairperson Vanden Eyck.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so y'all will let us know when that new date is. Great. Any commissioner comments or reports? Okay, I of course have one. Sorry. Okay, Traffic Way is about 2/3 paved and it is beautiful and it is glorious and it is such a smooth ride. And I just wanted to, I wish Nick were here to tell him how beautiful it is and how appreciative I am of it. And also I wanted to report that the crew that was out there were so kind and helpful getting us in and out of our property because of course, yeah, they were always willing to ask our questions about what the timelines were. They were always very polite. They were wonderful. So I just wanted to report that back to the city that it's looking great and the crew was really nice.
I will pass that on to our team. Thank you so much for
you.
mentioning that.
Yeah, well, I figured if I was gonna be noisy about getting it fixed, I should report when it was fixed and how lovely it is, so. Commissioner Kronza.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to report that I've been hearing about the open houses for the draft EARs on the updated general plan. I don't know how many of y'all have been going to those or maybe just been aware that they're happening. I have not been able to go to those, but I have been hearing from stakeholders about the question whether or not an element of water could be in our updated general plan, and adding an element is quite a big deal and it's not a necessary element, but it's been on my mind and I've been talking to stakeholders about how to weave in those in a more critical way within all of the required elements within our updated general plan. So to basically have some more teeth regarding oversight for water usage, water recreation, all of the things. So yeah, I just wanted to at least air that. Because yeah, it is interesting that water is a optional element. That alone is surprising to me. So, but it does weave into land use, pretty much anything, conservation, open space, but you can probably make it the case that it can be in every single element. So the other thing is I'm just still pursuing the mural project as a volunteer on the Equality Mural Project Committee. And yeah, if there's anybody that has 2 walls, we'd be very curious to pursue that with the 2 artists we have left. And I'm just looking forward to having more of a public art process within our city. So
Yes.
in terms of having an element on water, it seems to me that maybe an element on utilities that includes water, sewer, and other subjects beyond just water might be more likely to occur.
See Phil diligently taking notes over there. Anybody else comment or report? No? Okay. Mr. Director, do you have a report for us?
I do, but I'd first like to respond to sort of the commissioner comments on the general plan update.
Sure, absolutely.
Which is a project that's continuing to be in full swing. We did recently have our notice of preparation for our environmental impact report, and that was our public debut for that at our front lobby in our city hall. Great attendance for that. Got a lot of good feedback. People still want to start meddling with land use and things. But really this was about what do you guys want us to examine as we look at the environmental impact report? And we're at that stage because the city council has blessed a very preliminary land use map, and the consultants have taken that land use map to create population projections, growth projections, and all the things that come along with that. And so we look at that and it tells us what the next 25 years will look like in terms of what resources we'll use, what utilities are in demand, what water is in demand, and how it'll impact our area. Now, it's great you brought up, could we add additional elements? And what we're trying to do with this next general plan, what the consultants wanted to do, what the council wants to do, is actually reduce the number of elements that we have and combine elements. And so it doesn't mean we can't have policies on water. It doesn't mean we can't have policies on utilities or any other thing we choose. And this commission is going to get that chance to say, hey, can we add a policy or a set of policies? And in fact, an entire program and a section and a page on this matter. But I think they initially blessed sort of the outline of what elements would be in there based on the state mandates. And even those, you can take them and you can combine them. Like right now we have an open space and conservation element. Open space, conservation, and land use, I think, is all together. So we're going to do some combining like that. But I will take your feedback on those two elements. But it's also important to note that it's not just a whole element that you have to have. It's what's critical is what's going to be in the elements that we will bring forward in the policies and the programs and the framework. And you can have multiple pages dedicated to a single policy and programs that implement it, that address those topics. So keep that thought. You're on the right page. Also want to tell you about some other things that are moving along. As part of this general plan update, we're also going to have to rewrite our entire zoning regulations, and you guys are going to be a big part of that. We're already out looking for a consultant to assist us with that. And we put out an RFP for that. We do have a couple of proposals coming in. I think that closes here in a week or two. And we'll select a consultant to help us with zoning even before we're done with the general plan. That way we can get a start on that. And so that we're not too far down the line with our general plan before, we have that. Because basically what happens once we adopt our general plan at the end of this year, we're going to have a general plan that's completely inconsistent with our current zoning. And so we're rapidly going to have to move into implementation of that zoning. So it's going to be a little bit of a mystery time. What do we do with that? So that's one thing we're tackling right now. We're also tackling some council directions been given to us on vacation rentals. So something will be coming across your way on that, and some policies that might pertain to neighborhood protection, neighborhood enhancement, in a way of how do we regulate these? Should we regulate these like other communities are? Because we're one of the last communities to discuss vacation rentals, to have it on the table. So as Paso Robles has reached its quota, Morro Bay has reached its quota, SLO is getting there. So these communities are already maxed out. So we're getting the overflow. We're getting a lot of requests for them. And will that have an impact on affordable housing? Will it have an impact on quality of life in neighborhoods? Those are all questions that are being thrown out there. So it's something we're going to tackle and bring some information back to council, and they're going to direct us to develop a code, and then the code will come back to you guys. So something we're working on right now. I know there's a few small development projects and use permits coming your way too that are gelling together. But those just take time working through the process. But anyway, I'm here if you have other questions about things, and it looks like Commissioner Schmidt has one.
Just briefly, with respect to the zoning code and getting the RFP out, we've made a lot of changes to our zoning code. Are those changes going to be implemented into the new document, or how's that going to work?
We have made a lot of updates, most notably accessory dwelling units, objective design standards. We're going to carry those straight over. So there's some big chunks that we've made tremendous progress on in our zoning. The reason we really have to change our zoning is because we're going to have new land use districts, which are going to implement new zoning districts, new densities, new building heights, new setbacks. Those are the things that are really changing. But these other things that we've worked on, like objective design standards and accessory dwelling units and SB9 and those things like that, they are basically following state law. So they continue on. And so we'll just take those big sections and plant them into new zoning. Even though the new zoning will be completely reorganized, it'll be a different document. It'll have different districts. Those will fit right in. So great question.
I think that we've actually discussed vacation rentals before, because I was actually thinking about this, that I think I had requested information from staff regarding the number that we have registered with you guys. So I just was requesting that when we get to that point, that would be some really good information that I would request, is how many we have registered and a map of where they are. So that we can kind of get an idea of where we're at. And then also maybe the numbers from Paso comparatively, like, you know, what's their limit and what's their population. Same for Morro Bay and Slow, and kind of where our neighboring cities are at, so that we can kind of see a picture of where the other cities have sort of drawn the line, so we can see kind of, you know, whether we want to be drastic or kind of go with what they're saying.
Yeah. And we have those statistics and numbers. It's interesting. Our numbers are getting higher. And they're probably reaching the numbers in terms of population comparison of our surrounding communities. But what's interesting is you look on VRBO or Airbnb and similar sites, there's a lot fewer on there than are actually registered with the city. So I think a lot of folks are getting, you know, a vacation rental business license, which is basically free. And they're getting a placeholder in case we change our policies later or do something they're grandfathered in, which they would be. So it's kind of interesting. There's a whole bunch that are active on the books, but they're not active on any sites. So it's you know, it's kind of hard. So I don't know. I don't know if we're able to create a map of all those inactive ones, but I think we can. I mean, yeah, we'll find out legally what we're able to bring you. We have raw numbers. We have statistics and number of applications that come in each year. We can do that. And we also have, you know, what the city actually collects in TOT tax from them, which is pretty interesting too. And we have, you know, some records of complaint history as well. What are we seeing?
Great.
So-
I love data. So give me all the data.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
I was gonna, I raised.
Yes, go ahead.
Along those lines, it'd be really interesting to know how many of them are owner occupied. And, you know, with the Airbnb, you can rent out just a room, but they still have a family living in the structure.
And
so-
yeah, the council wants to look at those differently and
Yeah.
consider that a homestay versus a vacation rental, which would be a vacant house that's purely used for that. Because they do work differently in the neighborhoods and they act differently and
Yeah.
different impacts. Good point.
Commissioner Schmidt, did you have a question?
How are the other agencies dealing with people who don't register their vacation rentals and are operating them under Airbnb or whatever and are advertising them, but don't subscribe to any conformity?
They become a code enforcement issue. And in fact, there's companies out there that will enforce that for us and give us a list and they'll come after them and go after them for TOT and everything else. So it is a code enforcement factor because it's basically a land use violation. They're doing something that, you know, they're not licensed to do and they're not paying tax. So it's a violation.
Go ahead, Commissioner Kranza.
Okay, I just want to make sure I heard you correct. So as far as the draft DIR goes, so where we're headed as a city is the conservation, open space and land use. The three required elements are all sandwiched together in one
I don't-
package.
That's how it is today.
Okay,
I don't have the proposed list in front of me. I
those
wasn't
are where we're
ready-
probably headed.
I wasn't ready to answer that question
No,
yet.
don't worry.
But
I
we'll
just
headed- we'll
want to
be-
take this back to certain stakeholders that are like asking
Yeah, we're
about
headed
water.
in a similar fashion. And in matter of fact, if not tonight, by tomorrow morning, I can get you the proposed list of land use, not land use, proposed list of general plan elements that are under consideration by the consultant.
To see that.
You would
Yeah.
love to see that?
I
I might
would.
even be able to look it up while we're
would.
talking
Yeah,
right now,
well,
because I
and-
brought
and
my,
guess too, when
I
you
brought
brought
my
up-
computer here.
Okay, great. Yeah, when you were talking about policies, so I mean, it's not like we would be as civilians coming up and wanting to comment on these draft policies that are just coming up from my pen and paper. It'd be like looking at other cities and other policies that would be within the state of California. I would think would be the most streamlined to choose from, not Minnesota or somewhere just completely different. And being able to bring those forward, I would think is where
Hmm.
point people to rather than State of the Union statements of whatnots. So, okay.
Yes, Commissioner Schmidt.
You know, we have an interesting community in that we have a mutual water company. And we were talking about an element on water. So how would policies that get adopted affect the mutual water company? Would they have to adopt them also within their general documents that manage, how they manage their facilities? It's interesting technical issue. So how could that work?
Any policy that we adopt with our general plan in our community, new uses and new events, new things, new requests would have to comply with those policies. Oftentimes, if you have grandfathered in situations, we have a unique situation with a private water company. I don't know that we would want, our council would want to adopt policies that would contradict what they're doing or manage or change what they're doing in that respect. So, and water is not a topic at this particular juncture that is a growth management factor. And we don't see it being that way given what our population projections are and the way water use is going. So it may not have any impact to that. I don't think we'd create policies that would do that. I think they would be in a different nature, more about water quality to comply with the state standards and regional water standards, and about density of septic systems and how the systems are designed and the setbacks and property sizes that those systems are on. I think it would be much more leaning toward that, and it would also talk about creek setbacks and management of creekways and natural water resources and water retention and detention and hydromodification and allowing water to percolate in the ground. I think the policies would be, and they will be anyway, related to those aspects. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that it would have an impact to Tascadero Mutual Water Company. Sorry, I'm looking for a connector for my computer so I can get on our network so I can look up the elements that we have, because my computer is just spinning because it doesn't want to connect up here for whatever reason.
Certainly.
You're just gonna email those to her since you can't find a connection? Okay. Oh,
Uh-oh.
all right. I think that's it unless someone else has a comment or question? No? All right, then seeing nothing else, I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn our meeting. Our next meeting will be on August 20th here at City Hall, and hope to see you all there.